All right, so skill number 6 is start making flashcards. Now, it might be kind of weird that there's even a skill for this. Like, why is this a separate thing? But it is, because so many students that I've worked with don't do this. And if they do, they don't really do it well. They don't know how. There's a science to making and using flashcards so that it actually is effective. Okay. Now, what are flashcards for? They're for memorizing stuff. You do have to memorize a fair amount of material, especially for the English and math sections on the ACT. You need to memorize formulas for math, the distance formula, the midpoint formula, the process for multiplying a matrix, maybe, how to convert exponent form to log form. There's tons of little things. Some of them you might know, some of them you don't. Like, some of them you definitely don't. And you need a way to efficiently and effectively remember it. You can't just say, oh, I have to remember that. I'll remember it. No, you won't. That's not how brains work. You have to put in an effort. Okay. You need to memorize grammar rules for writing, right? Even like processes, like, okay, when you see a verb underlined in the English section, check the other verbs in the sentence and the sentence before and after for the tense, right? So it's just like, when you see a verb underlined, do this, and you have to remember, okay, that's what I have to do. So it works not just for rules and formulas, but for like something you have to remember to do, a process, okay? So the best way to do this is with flashcards. And I say not Quizlet, okay? It could work. Something online could work. But for most students, plain old-fashioned on-paper index cards with a paper and pencil works better. You can take it with you everywhere. Sure, you can do that with a Quizlet app too, but there's actually studies that show that when you pick up a pencil and you write something down, your brain locks into it and it sticks better, more than if you do it on a computer with an app. So it just will work better. Okay. If you just can't do that, then fine, go for Quizlet, but I don't recommend it. All right. Now, the other thing that's nice about flashcards is it makes it a little better to kind of do them right. So you put a question on the front, and the Quizlet does this for you, but a flashcard, you have to do it yourself. Like, what is the quadratic formula? Okay. And on the back, you put your answer so that you have to flip it and you can't see the answer. You can't put the question and the answer on the same thing. Like, that completely ruins the purpose. Okay. And if you don't know the quadratic formula, then look it up and write it down. Okay. And that process of looking it up makes it stick. You know, one thing to remember, and I'll write it here, is learning happens only when you work. So learning by definition can't happen when it's passive, right? It happens when you're active, when you're doing something, when you're thinking, when you're writing, when you're researching. That's when learning actually happens, not when you're just like reading something passively. So when you review the flashcards, you don't look at the answer until you have tried for at least 5 seconds to guess it. Like, even if you kind of feel like you have no idea, wait 5 seconds and just try, because the process of trying, like, makes it sink into your brain what you're trying to get at. And next time it will be a little bit easier. Okay. Sweat a little. If you just flip it immediately, you won't learn it. Learning comes from the effort of trying to remember what's on the other side. That's when the learning happens, not looking at the other side. The effort of trying to remember, that's when it happens. Okay. One other thing with flashcards: when you review the flashcards, create 3 piles. Okay. One pile is for the ones you know perfectly, and those you can look at like once a week. The next pile is kind of know, and those you look at maybe every other day. And the last pile is I don't know this, and you look at those every day. Okay? So this way you're doing it efficiently. The I don't know this, you have to look at those every day. Otherwise you're not going to get the memory ingrained. But the other stuff, you don't have to look at it every day. So this way, and you move things from pile. Once it once you feel like, all right, I'm getting this immediately when I look at it, then you put it into the I know this pile, and then it becomes once a week. So this way, you're not learning more than you have to, and you're not wasting any time. So if you do this process, you will learn, you will memorize. All right. You keep adding flashcards whenever you come across something you need to remember. You just keep it there on your desk or in your backpack and in a place where they're easily available every time you're doing any kind of studying for the ACT. This is the most effective system for learning the facts, the formulas, and the short rules and the processes that you need to know to really get high scores on the ACT.